We'll be introducing Mr. Mike Schultz and Mr. Scott Schultz. Mike and Scott Schultz are brothers who grew up on a farm in northwest Iowa, working hogs, cattle, corn, and soybeans. Due to high interest rates and lacking farming opportunities in the Midwest at the time, these two men were drawn to Delta Junction in 1982 for the Delta two-state land sale auction. Between the two of them, they have had many years of community service, including the school board, USDA, Farm Service Agency County, and state committees, the Salcha Delta Soil Water Conservation District, the Alaska Farmers Co-op, and the Farm Bureau. Both have raised their families here and are a big part of how Delta Junction became what it is today. They will be presenting two subjects this afternoon. The title of the first is Black Spruce to Yellow Grain, 44 Years of Sawmill Creek Agriculture Development. The title of the second is The Construction of the Alaska Highway from 1942 to 1943. Please welcome Mike and Scott Schultz.
Okay. Don't know what to expect, but hopefully you enjoy it. Mike has put a lot more time in on this than I have, but here we go on some of what's been going on the past few years.
Thank you for that introduction. It was nice. Okay. So one of the questions we always get is, how did you find out, how did you know that they were going to have a land sale back in 1982? So we were subscribed to a landowner magazine or newsletter, came out once a month or something. Anyway, so in April of 1981, yeah, that's it.
Did you go too fast?
Okay. So how do we know about it? Well, they had an article in this magazine, and they said at that time, November 1st, the Ag Action Council plans to sell another 32,000 acres to about 15 qualified lottery winners. Stated previously, anticipated a raise of 50,000 acres, but decided to cut it back to 52,000.
Try the arrows.
Okay.
See if that. Got any thoughts, Eve?
It must be on the lake.
How about if I click on that? Okay. So one of the stories that goes along with this is that my wife Sandy convinced me that we were going to visit Alaska in the summer of 1981. We never made it to Delta Junction. We went on this trip and we came through Valdez and up to Glen Ellen, then up to Toke, to Whitehorse, and back down, and so on. Well, but we heard about this land sale and that process, and then, as well as this newsletter, and then Scott and I got interested in the land sale, and we came back to Delta Junction in November. At that time, then, we came out with another issue of this Landowner magazine with more stories about this farming in Alaska. And inside, they had let's see. There we go. Take that one. Yes. So they had the article about Gene Thayer. He was he was with Montana Merchandising of Great Falls, Montana. He was setting up the Alaska Grain Company here. And then in this insert, there was a picture of Jim Lasley, his wife Kay. Kay Lasley started the Alaska magazine, which see the copy there. Yes. And that's a picture of Al Bannon that was in this article. And next one, there's Mike Carlson. That works, that little corner there. And the next thing that we were reading about was 31,000 acres. It said it was going to be a lottery. Residency was a requirement. It mentioned Point McKenzie. It mentioned 40,000 acres to be sold, the Delta 2 West portion of it, which did not happen. And it also mentioned 175,000 acres in Nenana was going to be sold in 1982 and 1983, and eventually 4 million acres would be sold for ag purposes. So we visited Delta Junction in November of '81, and we visited Dennis Green. And Scott jumped in the pickup with Dennis, and I was driving whatever rental car we had, and we went to see some of his equipment. We talked farming with Dennis, and some of you may recognize that truck. It was just not new at that time. Meanwhile, Scott had so in January is when Scott came up here to go about. Scott became a resident because that was a requirement. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, it came up here in January and got my residency established, thinking that it was required, but the courts changed all that, and that went by the wayside. But once I got here to Delta, when we pulled in, it had some nice snows. Snow was everywhere. But then it turned 40 and 50 and 60 below, and I didn't get to do much poking around in the trees and visiting people like I thought.